Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. One more session here from the Cloud Lunch and Learn. Today I have Konstantinos here with me to present all about Azure Logic Apps and Defender for Endpoint. One more great session on this Wednesday. Konstantinos, if you want to give a quick intro about yourself, and then in a few seconds I can share your screen, and then you can take over the show.
Hello, thank you, Jackson, for this session. My name is Kostas for short. I'm calling from Greece, Athens. I work as a solutions architect here in a big company in Greece. Engaged a lot in Microsoft projects. Azure is my niche. I like a lot of cloud. I'm here to present the Azure Logic Apps integration with Defender with a little bit of DevOps.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I need to say I'm very passionate about Defender for Endpoint, and I'm looking forward myself, for this great session. Okay, let me share your screen. 1 second. Yeah, yeah. Now
Great.
your screen is there. Okay, I will take. You can take over now the show. I will be here on the background looking the questions. Everybody from home watching us now, if you have any questions, just please type those on the chat box, and then I will, make sure I can read the questions and we can work, as they come. Okay,
Yes.
Konstantinos, yeah, you can start presenting now. I will be on the background here if you need anything from me.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very
Okay.
much. So, our session today, as I said before, is about Defender for Endpoint, particularly advanced handling. We know advanced handling queries are a lot. We need them, we use them, but not every company has a CM or a SOAR in place to get these signals and analyze them. So, the scenario is very simple for our session. I think we can expand it a lot. Okay, I didn't, spread it a lot, so we can focus on the integration. I mean, the three platforms that we are using today, which is, of course, M365, the security, and Defender for Endpoint, Azure, where Logic Apps will play a major role, and DevOps, which will help us to deploy the storage account and the Logic App application. So suppose we are a small company or a big company, it doesn't matter, and we want every day or every and time, sometime, to grab some signals from advanced handling. A very simple query we can see on our screen is the device events. Device events are generating a lot of signals. The most important, I think, for every security officer or IT security officer is antivirus. We want to know what's going on with antivirus. So I have already onboarded a virtual machine on Azure, which is joined on Azure AD, and I'm using the WD Playground. If you know it, you can use it. In case you don't know it, if time is okay for us, I can show you at the end where to find it. And I have used this platform to generate some antivirus, some virus events, so the Defender for Endpoint antivirus detect them. You can see on my screen, I have run a query, a very simple query. The action type is antivirus detection, and timestamp is go 1 days. And here are the results. So we want to take these results and put them on a storage blob. Maybe an integrator or an external consultant wants every day to use that blob and take those signals, that CSV file, because the blob will be a CSV file, or our manager, our CISO, or whatever wants every day to to have a report of that CSV with these results. Okay, so let's start from our first platform. We're going to use a release pipeline in Azure DevOps. For everyone that is using DevOps, we know that there are a lot of tools that we can use to deploy resources in Azure. I'm using a very simple approach with CLI commands. Let's see our pipeline here. So the pipeline is a release pipeline, okay? One job with two tasks. The first task is going to deploy the resource group and the storage account. I have created a service principal from Azure DevOps to connect to the Azure subscription as a contributor. You can do that very simple. Either you can do it by hand or you can do it automatically via the DevOps platform. So uh, when you are using DevOps, you know that you have to create an organization and then you have to create the project. From project settings, let me show you that again. Okay, this is my organization and these are my projects. I have opened my project and I'm going to project settings. It's down here on the left. I'm making the screen a little bit bigger. So here from the project settings, you want to create a new service connection. Okay, I have created already mine. I'm going to show you how you can create a very fast and swift a new one. So new service connection, Azure Resource Manager, and next. And now you have this very simple service principal created for you automatically. You can create, of course, your manual service principal. You have to create it earlier, as at SP create for our back, or let Azure DevOps create the service principal, which will give contributor role to the service principal. So I have created my here. It's named Azure Dev, which is going to be used for the pipeline to connect to the Azure subscription and be able to deploy what we're going to deploy now. So let's return to our pipeline. Remember, it's a release pipeline. And I'm going to show you what it's doing. For DevOps, it is better to use a self-hosted agent because you can deploy a lot of tasks and jobs. So I have already a self-hosted agent running on another subscription. It's very easy to create one. You can see that on the documentation of Microsoft. So the first thing we have to do is to select the agent job. I have an agent pool, which is named Wins, and it is just contains one virtual machine with the self-hosted agent deployed into the virtual machine. Okay. Now we add here a new task, a lot of options here. I have chosen this one, which is an Azure CLI inline script. The inline script is here. You can see it. So I'm creating a resource group in North Europe named RG App Dev, and I'm creating a deployment group. If you go to the AZCLI documentation, you can see that you can create deployment groups. It has a name deploy storage. We will see that later, where it is used, how we can use this, and why. In the resource group you were created in this line, from the template in GitHub. Our template is here. I will show you very fast. I have a GitHub account. It is using a template taken from the Azure Quick Start Templates repository for the storage account. It is not something extraordinary. It's a very simple template. You can see it here. Okay. We will create a storage account with a random string name. And the second task, it will deploy a logic app with the same way exactly. It will use the Azure Dev connection, okay, either automatic service principal connection or manually. The script type will be inline, and here is our lines. Deployment group, this is called deploy logic to separate these two deployments so we know what we're doing. Into the resource group we created earlier, and The template is already in our GitHub, which I will show you right now, with the parameters JSON file as well. It is in the same repo. We can use a template from another repo, or we can have our template stored in Azure DevOps. If anyone is using already DevOps, knows that. So the only thing that I have changed on the default template from Azure Quick Start templates is that we are creating this logic app with a system assigned managed identity. Okay, we have the name here. It's on the North Europe region, and in the template file, there is just one line that creates a system assigned identity for the logic app. We're using managed identities because we want the logic app to connect to the storage account and create the blob. So we're going to need, of course, an Azure subscription. Here is our Azure subscription. Here are our resource groups. Let me show you quickly on our subscription the service principal I told you before, Azure DevOps. You can see it either from identity groups subscription, so you can see that it is resource under the subscription. So let's see the roles. The role assignments are here.
Hi, Konstantinos. I just got our first question here.
Yes.
Julian um, is asking, is any authentication required when reading from the Git repo in the inline script?
This is a very nice question. I'm using a public repo, but in case you want to use a private repo, there is a procedure where you connect from the DevOps organization with an SSH um, command from the pipeline directly to GitHub. We can also see that later. You can also use a personal access token. I have not done it yet because I have seen some
Mhm.
problems, but this is the difference. If you're using a public repo, you don't need any authentication. In case you are using private repos, yes, you are going to need authentication.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So here in our description, you can see this is our service principal, which connects the DevOps organization to the subscription. Contributor are the role assignment that has, and we can deploy now. Let's see our resource groups. Here, what we're going to do, we're going to run our release pipeline to deploy a resource group, a storage account, and a logic app with a system assigned managed identity. So I can create a new release, or I can use another, an already existing one. I'm going to create a new release, press create. The release is already deploying, and we can go the release, the link that it's given from me for me, and see the logs. It's going to check out if there is an agent available from our pool. Uh, the organization has, as I told you before, a self-hosted agent, so it will find the agent available and start running the script from that agent to the subscription. Azure DevOps, it's a great tool when you want to make deployments and you want to do mass deployments or batch deployments or whatever you want to call it. and it is very cheap when you have a self-hosted agent to have multiple tasks in so I know there are other tools also whoever is using already DevOps knows that. I'm not a
Yeah.
developer. I'm not a DevOps, engineer. I'm certified on the DevOps, course of Microsoft, and I wish I could use it more. So
Okay.
here
Yeah. Hi,
we're seeing that.
Konstantinos.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
of
the
course.
line is breaking up, a little bit. Maybe let's disable your camera just to see if we can get a better quality on
Okay,
the
okay,
voice.
okay. No
Yeah,
problem.
let's do
Yes,
that. If you could disable. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that.
no problem. Do you want me to do that? Okay. So is now better? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, let's see how it goes. But yeah, it should. We should be better now.
Okay. So we are seeing that our job has run successfully. How we can verify that? We can, of course, refresh here in our subscription and see that the resource group has been created. If I click on it, we will see resources created. It will be the storage account and what I wanted just to show you here from the resource group settings option, we can see the deployments. Here we will find our two deployments that we run from AZ CLI. You can see here we have two deployments, deploy storage and deploy logic into our pipeline so we can control in case we have some errors or we want to troubleshoot what was the problem. Here we declare the name of the deployment group, so deploy storage and deploy logic. Here deploy storage and deploy logic into the resource group settings, the deployments selection for us. So now we have our storage account and we have our logic app um, ready for us. What we need to do now is we're going to verify that we have a system assigned managed identity on the logic app activated. Yes, it is on. Okay. And now we can give this identity, the system assigned manager identity, which always follows the life cycle of the resource because it's a system assigned manager identity, the storage blob contributor role. I can do this from here directly, or I can go from the storage account and provide the role to the function app. So this is our storage account. I hope I'm not breaking up from this control. We're going to add a new role assignment. Now, this could also be done from the pipeline, but the pipeline should have more permissions. Either owner, either end or write permission. So we're selecting the storage blob, data contributor, and the member of the role will be, I'm sorry, the managed identity. I select this. We will be provided with a menu for with managed identities available for us. This is our newly created logic app, and we are assigning. We will see the use later when we go to the logic app delete the connection between the logic app and the storage account. And one final last thing we need to do, just create one container. This also can be done for the pipeline, okay? We can do this by taking as a variable the storage account name when it is created, and then with a simple one-liner create the uh, create the container that I'm creating by hand now. So now what we have done, a little bit of recap again. We have created the storage account and a logic app resource with consumption SKU, not container. On logic app system assign manage identity the storage blob data contributor role on this storage account. So let's go to the logic app and start creating our workflow. When you open a logic app for the first time, it will give you this menu. And when the logic app is empty, probably display you here some, yes, this menu where you can select some templates for you to run. Very similar to Power Automate, you can do this also with Power Automate. This particular exercise can be done also with Power Automate. Okay, we're using a blank logic app and start building. The first thing we need for a logic app is a trigger. We can use either a trigger from an external source, could be anything, or we can use a schedule. For this exercise, we're going to use a schedule, let's say once an hour, but of course we will run our trigger by hand to see the results. Okay, here is our logic app design. We're going to start with schedule. Okay, the schedule will be a recurrence with an interval.
Hi, Konstantinos. Could you make that screen a little bit
Yes,
bigger? Okay,
of
thank you.
course, of course, of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's now it's better. Yeah.
Great. So, sorry, let me. Yes. Okay, we've seen that we created this schedule, and now it's our next step. The next step is the most important that we will connect. Not the most important. It's our connection to Microsoft Defender. Okay, it's already embedded here. We can use directly a connector Microsoft Defender ATP. In case you are not presented here with the Microsoft Defender, you can just write here Defender, and it will bring you up the Defender uh, icon. And we are going to use the advanced handling option. Sorry, advanced handling. Okay, so we now need to connect to our tenant. We can do that with a service principal or with a managed identity. Okay, I suggest for anyone that is interested further principal connection. Okay, but I'm going to use my my user here. I'm going to sign in. Here is the window that came up when I said sign in. I tried the security leader role, but it didn't work, so I'm using now a global admin. It is not the best practice, you know that. For the sake of the exercise, we are using this. We are going to take our query here. It's a very simple one. And bring it into our designer directly. This is the query. Okay. Let me show you again something. I can change the connection here in case that I found out how to create a service principal. If I prefer to use a service principal or a managed identity, I can change the connection. Now I'm using a sign in with my user, using that I have already signed in. Now what we need to do, we need to to put this value somewhere. Okay, we're going to create the variables. We're going to initialize a variable. Let's initialize the variable. Let's say it is a name here needed, defender data. Now we need to be correct about that. We need an array. Of course, we understand that because here, when I run, I'm getting an array of results. So I need to initialize a variable with the array type. Okay. Now, what will be the value of the array? The results. You see that Logic Apps opens directly the content here where I can select anything I want, but I want all the results. I will filter them out later when I create the CSV. Let's see how we will do that. So what we are doing
There is
now,
a sorry to interrupt you. There is a quick question
yes,
in
yes,
regards to what
yes,
language is the query done in?
it's a KQL.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
If I remember correctly, it's the Custo query language. Am I right? I think it's that. So let's go to the new step. We have initialized a variable with the type of array with all the results there. Now we want to create our CSV file. We don't want every column of this array. We want to select. So let's create a CSV table. The logic app will give us the variable already. So from where are you going to create this CSV table? From the defender data variable you initialized earlier. Okay, here is the logic thing that in case you don't see it here, just start writing and it will appear for you here. Now, if I use automatic, I will have all these columns here, which I don't. Our manager doesn't want every little detail, just some specific data. So the columns are going down. I'm going to name them as as I, I prefer. So device name here. Now, here is a trick. If I'm going to use here the content that is presented to me, and for example, if I select device name, you see that the Logic app, for some reason, created a for each option here. We don't want that. We don't want a for each option here. We want just to have our results into a CSV table. It's that simple. We don't want for each results. So let's do that again and see how we'll resolve this issue. create our CSV table. Okay, data variable. The columns are going to be custom. We will add into the CSV. And here is a trick into the of Microsoft and how you're going to write this expression. I'm going to bring it right here for you. You have to enter it into this field, not here, but here, and select expression. So this is the correct syntax. Okay, device name. Let's put also, let's select also the action type. Also here, we need to create the expression, but instead of device name, I'm going to select action type. Now, where I'm getting this, I'm getting this from here, the column names. Okay, I think it's very straightforward. The data I'm putting into this expression, which it has this syntax, I'm taking the names of the columns from the relevant columns from the query results from Defender for Endpoint. So this is the action type. Let's put also a file name here so we know what happened in what file. File name. Sorry, not here, but in the expression field. Very easy to make a mistake. So expression, right? And here is the short code. And we can also put another one. Let's select the folder path. Okay, but we can select anything from these columns. Anything. We will put another one and we're done. Folder. Expression again. And this is folder path. Sorry, folder path. Let's verify the correct name. Folder path, right. And OK. So from all the array data that we have initialized into a variable named defender data, we are taking custom columns. Naming is on our selection, our preference, and the values are created with this method I show you. The way that we're writing the expression are on the documentation of Microsoft. You can find them in the Logic Apps workflow creation. Okay, now we have created our
Yeah, just
CSV table,
before,
and it is time to store it in our storage account. Okay.
there is another. It's not really a question, just a kind of comment from Julian. So it's good practice to run the custom query first, then use the output to customize your logic app. Is that a kind of right way to do that?
Can you come again? So
Yeah,
the comment
the
is
comment is, so it's good practice to run the custom query first, then use
yes.
the output to customize your logic app.
So
It's kind of to use the advanced query first to test the query and then get whatever comes and add into your logic apps. Is that what you are doing, or a good
yes,
practice?
yes.
Oh, okay,
I have
okay.
first tested my query here that
Yeah.
I can produce results, and now I'm filtering them with the help of Logic Apps and storing them into as an Azure Blob storage.
Okay, okay. Makes sense. Yeah,
Yes,
a good comment from Julian. Yeah. Okay.
it's a very good comment. Of course, I have done this many times to see that I'm getting the correct results. And
Yeah,
now I have, because this comment, I have to tell you something very important. Because this is a
makes sense.
consumption logic app, yeah, because this is a consumption logic app, be careful how many times you're going to run it. You can take out your credits or money very quickly. So instead of testing again and again into the logic app, test it here first and then come here and put the final version. With a little bit of adjustment, you'll be ready. But if you are running again and again and again this workflow, it will very fast take out your money. It's consumption app. So either create a premium or, as the commenter said, let's first check here and then come here and complete our logic app.
Yeah,
So
very good tip. I would say it's always nice
yes,
to
yes,
keep our eye on the money side. Yeah, good tip.
yes, of course, on the cost, yeah. So now it's time to create our storage blob. Now, logic apps are presenting with their their abilities here are presented with these actions. We're going to not say uh, create a blob. We're going to say update a blob. But why? Let's see. Let's see why. With a little bit of patience, we'll find out. Anyone already knows, of course, has understand why. Okay, we're going to give a connection to our storage account from Logic App. The authentication type is going to be Logic App's managed identity. You remember that we have already given the Logic App managed identity the storage blob contributor, data contributor role. So just this is our selection. Of course, we can select any other authentication method we want. It is a best practice to use managed identities. We're going to need the storage account name. So let me come back here and refresh to get the new storage account we created. I think is this one. Yes, this is the name. We're going to enter custom value. This is a little bit, you know, the way that the logic app response in these menus are a little bit of strange. So be careful when it says add the custom value. You have to go there and click it. Otherwise, it won't take it into this field. So we're entering the storage account name. Now we're going to enter that blob. It's going to be security and let's say data and handling.csv. Okay, update blob. Okay, the storage account name and where we want to store it. We have just created this one, the container. Okay, we have not created the directory, neither the CSV is there. We're selecting update though. Now, the content. What will be the content? The content will be this one. So let's go here and write down the word output. When I'm starting to write the word output, it's going to use this output from the previous step. It's not a word that I used here anywhere. It is just a general um, content, let's say, or variable, a general variable. When you write down here the word output, it uses the output taken from this step. Okay, so just write output and you get uh, this content, which is the content from the create CSV table, the output from the create CSV table. It is the CSV table. okay, with our columns filtered as we wished. We just need to add a new parameter which is going to be the content type. Because we are using a CSV, we have to create a parameter that the application is octet strip. Okay, application octet stream. Now, what we have done, we have run our query, tested it, inserted it into our logic app, initialized the variable from the results, filtered out the columns. But here we're saying update blob, but the blob is not there. What's going to happen? It's going to fail, right? Yes, it is going to fail. We want that because our logic app have this very nice I'm sorry, has this very nice option. I'm going now to create another step, which is create blob, that is going to run if this one fails. So the first time we're going to run this, it's going to fail here, but it's going to proceed here. Why? I'm going to show you in just a second. So create blob. When I go here in this menu, in this menu, it is the run after selection. And if I click it, it will say create that this step new that this new step I'm creating if this one fails. It's a very nice option for logic apps that can make our life very, very easy. So if this step fails, it will run this step because the first time we're going to update the blob, it's going to fail. There's no blob there. Okay, and in the other subsequent times, it's just going to update this blob. So this step is not needed. It's needed for the first time, but we need it. Okay, it's going to fail here. So create a blob or run this step only if this one fails, which will fail the first time, and we will see that it will fail. Just run here quickly the settings to create the blob. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to use the storage account name with a custom value. The folder path, just the folder path here, remember, not everything, just the folder path with this and the name, the same name we used before. So in the next time, it can find it and update it. Blob comment again, we're writing output. We will take the output from here, which is creating a CSV table. You can see from the icon that it is the table operation. Okay. And don't forget to add the parameter with the content type application octet stream. If anyone is doing right now, I know that these menus are a little bit hard to use and get used to them, but they are responding at the end with a little bit of try. So I think that we have finalized our workflow. Let's save it. If we have any error here, it will complain about that. But since it didn't complain, I think we can run our workflow. Let's do it. Now, this step should fail the first time. And let's go quickly here to our storage browser and see what's going on in here. Do we have a folder created for us named data? Yes, we do. And these are a handling.csv file. Yes, with the date correctly, and this is our handling.csv. We can quickly view it from here with a view edit, or we can download it. You know that we can download and see our CSV from quickly view and edit our CSV. Yes, here are the data. Okay, and we will download, of course, the CSV to see it correctly. Download. Let me open it, and I will return back to the logic where it failed, and we will run it once more to see that the step before the last it will bust. So here are the data. Okay, our manager has his data here in a storage blob. Of course, logic apps, you know that I have many options that we can do many things. We can send them via email. You can store them via FTP. A lot of things. I cannot name them. There are too many. So let's return to our logic app and see what happened here. Yes. The execution of the blade action create blob is skipped. The run after condition for action is not satisfied. Failed and action value succeeded. So if I run it again, let's go back to the designer. I'm going to delete this one. Let me delete it. No, it was there earlier. I don't think so. This storage account, yes. So it should not have any directory, and we will run it again. So yes, of course, and this will run only if update blob fails. Yes, so that's right. Let's run again. I have deleted everything from the storage account. I think this is the correct storage account. Yes, of course. Okay, let's run one more. And stay here to watch what's what's happening. Yes, this is the correct one. Okay, I think that there was data here before. So this step failed. There was no blob to update, and since this step failed, this one ran correctly. If I return to my storage account and refresh, I will find again a newly created directory with the new handling CSV data. Yes, of course. And now if I run again our trigger, it will uh, run correctly until the step before the last one because the blob is already there. It is not needed to run this one. Yes, the first time I ran, I think there was probably some data here, so it did updates. I think you understood what happened here. If you need me to explain once more, I can explain, but I think it is very straightforward. It is an option to run a step if the previous one failed. Of course, we can do this as you excuse me, timeout or skip. We select this step to run when the step before has failed. A little bit of recap, and then we can discuss for the final 10 minutes. I think it took a little bit more than I expected, but I took it with a great detail. So we created our resources from Azure DevOps. With the service principal, the DevOps organization is connected to the Azure subscription. A very simple Azure CLI deployment. With a method deployment group, we created a resource group and a storage account from a GitHub repo. The repo is public, so the connection uh, is not needed to authenticate. But if the repo is private, we need to authenticate. And the method is with SSH, I think, and a personal access token. Either method works. We created also a logic app. The template has also the system assigned manage identity parameter. So the logic app and the storage account are already present in our subscription now. And via the designer of the logic app, I run an advanced handy query from Defender for Endpoint. Our connection to the Defender for Endpoint is with the user account and the password, but we can use manage identity or service principal. It is a best practice to use a service principal for this. You know that you have to go to the directory permissions and provide permissions to the service principal for the advanced handling data to be able to read. And I think there's one other permission needed: API view data. Yeah, keep that in mind. We initialized our results into a variable of the type of array. The value is all the results. The results can be seen here. This is our data, and our data went into a CSV table, but filtered out with a little bit of an expression for our specific columns we needed. And then we created uh, dash updated a new blob with a method that is provided for us by Logic App. When a step failed, it will run the next one. The first time this step will fail, so it will go here to create a blob. Every next time we'll run the Logic App, the update blob will run this. It won't be needed. So let's open one last time our honeycomb CSV data that we collected, and I think we can conclude our session today. Let's download this file here. With an email the CSV file, as I said before, you can store it with an FTP. You can do many things. The same exercise can be done automate. And here is our data. Right. So thank you very much for tonight. I want to thank Jackson also for being here for me and helping me out. It was my first time. I hope it will be
Okay, that's
another
fine.
one
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, thanks. Great insights from how powerful logic apps can be. Of course, I understand for anybody watching us that never done any work on logic apps and never done any work on the advanced hunting, it can be a little bit challenging, as you know, anything else when you do for the first time. And yeah, the advanced hunting is really I've been using for quite a while. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
Initially, it's a bit difficult for you to get into the language and to build the queries, but yeah, it's a kind of learning curve as any other thing. But yeah, thanks very much everybody watching us from home, and Konstantinos as well, thanks for spending the last hour with us, and I hope you can come back at some stage again with another presentation.
That's great, Jackson. Thank you all. Good night. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Okay, thanks everybody, see you next time. Don't forget to join us again next Wednesday. Okay, see you, thanks very much, bye bye.
Bye bye.